Can the Oklahoma Sooners be chaos agents in 2025?
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. We're free and available on all podcast platforms, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized. He's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. The Oklahoma Sooners were picked to be agents of chaos in the 2025 college football season by that SEC podcast, who SEC Michael Bratton, predicted the Oklahoma Sooners to upset Texas and Tennessee on his top 10 most likely upsets of the 2025 season, Jay.
I can see the Texas game being considered an upset. I don't know about Tennessee yet. And I say that because, of course, it's early. So right now, everybody doubts what the Sooners can do this coming season. But not sure. Do people really believe that Oklahoma's going to have just as bad as an offense as last year? Now, I know the expectation by not only the media and anybody that follows college football is that Oklahoma's defense may take a slight step down, but the offense should have a dramatic improvement regardless, because they've got a new OC and, new quarterback, new system. So it's going to be a new look. It's going to be something that the SEC is going to have to adjust to anyway. But I'm intrigued that those are the two games that were picked. I think that those are probably the two biggest games besides the Alabama game and the Michigan game for Oklahoma this coming season. But with Michigan having the turmoil they have, the changes, a lot of, new roster pieces, a lot of young pieces that they're going to be playing, I guess a lot of teams aren't really considering that going to be an upset. They expect Oklahoma to be a favorite at home for that game.
It'll be interesting. I think if you look on paper right now, Oklahoma is probably not the favorite for most of the games based on what happened in 2024, based on all the retooling that's happening just on paper. But the reality of the situation is, I think by the time Oklahoma gets to several of those games, maybe against Ole Miss, maybe against Auburn, they're going to be favorites. And I can see a scenario where by the time Oklahoma plays Tennessee the first week in November, that Oklahoma is considered the favorite in that game. So where things stand now and where things could go in 2025, I think could be vastly different by the time you get to that game. But yeah, definitely on paper, Tennessee's coming off of a playoff appearance. They've got Nico coming back. They've got a good head coach in Josh Heupel. The question is, can they withstand all the turnover that they faced this offseason with a number of guys going off to the NFL draft, a number of dudes entering the transfer portal? They lost a lot of talent. Now, it's a talented program with big NIL backing, so they're going to be able to retool. It's just a matter of, can they retool in such a way that keeps them at the top? Because Ole Miss did the same thing last year, right? They loaded up in the transfer portal. They had one of the best rosters in college football. You listen to our guy, Stephen Willis, over at Locked On Ole Miss, and he says he believes that Ole Miss had the best roster in the SEC in 2024, and they only won 9 games.
Yeah.
And so you look at that and you're like, okay, even if Tennessee did reload in the transfer portal and still has one of the better rosters in college football, are they going to be able to still be a 10-win team and make the college football playoff? I don't know. Nico's got to make a jump, in my opinion. He's got to take a step up and show that he's that quarterback that everybody believes he can be, and be that big-time arm and big-time productive player for everybody to feel, for me to feel confident that Tennessee is going to be favored in that game come first week in November.
Yeah, and that's the good thing is that game is so late. So I guess the speculation can be put out there of, will Tennessee be a favorite whenever we get to that point? But you're right. They've got a lot of stuff that they're going to have to work on for Nico to make that next step. Luckily, he still has, a couple of wide receivers he's comfortable with. The offensive line is, relatively young, also kind of mixed with a little bit of age in there. But yeah, he's going to have to make that really big jump. And then if there's a good chance that David Sanders Jr. is probably going to be his starting right tackle. So luckily Nico's right-handed, so that will help him hopefully by November, whenever we match up. But the Texas one is of intrigue that they consider Oklahoma as the team to pull that upset. And mainly because everyone has raved about Texas and just how great they've done in recruiting and how Sark has really course corrected the program, and they've made them, they're going to make them into this massive juggernaut that should be winning national championships hand over fist. I don't know. I feel like that boat may have been missed. It's going to be past the Arch Manning era before we see that out of Texas. Because truth be told, if Arch Manning has a really good year, he's probably not coming back next year. He's already being slated as a top 5 pick right now. And if they finish the season 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins, and they lose in the first round or lose in the playoffs, Arch is probably gone. And to me, it's kind of detrimental to the pace that people are saying Texas is on. Now you got to find yourself another quarterback that can actually lead you to the promised land. Because this team they've got a lot of retooling. This is the second year in a row they've lost roughly double-digit players going towards the draft, and a lot of good ones. So with them having to retool with a lot of youth, I can totally see why they would pick Oklahoma to pull this upset, because Oklahoma's coming in with a lot more veteran presence. We've played the most redshirt freshmen, sophomores, so first players in their first 2 years over the last 2 years, and I think than anybody in the country. I know Brent Venables posted that number and talked about it in his press conference. Oklahoma's been playing a lot of young players, and again, they love their recruits. So you're seeing them play more of the internal guys that they have, and then they're bringing transfers in just to fill up those little holes that we have. So to me, Oklahoma should be a lot more experienced going that, similar to it was in 23. Should be a lot more experienced and ready to play ball.
I love the matchup with Oklahoma's defensive line versus Texas's offensive line.
Oh, me too.
Texas will get a big test against Ohio State early in the season, but that's not going to be as experienced because they lost their top 2 edge rushers. Ohio State did. Well, Oklahoma's bringing back their top edge rusher, one of the best in the SEC, and R. Mason Thomas. You're adding another really promising and a guy with a lot of potential in Marvin Jones Jr. Plus, you've got that interior defensive line. That's going to put Texas to work. And for Arch Manning to be comfortable in the pocket, that Texas offensive line is going to have to step their game up against one of the best defensive lines in college football. If they can protect Arch, that'll make things a lot more difficult for Oklahoma. And he's got weapons. Ryan Wingo is a weapon. That dude is going to be great. I love his game. And I don't want to shower praise on any Texas Longhorn, but Ryan Wingo's a dude. That guy's a stud. And if Arch has just enough time, and listen, Sark is a good coach. He's a good offensive mind. He's going to be able to scheme some things to help combat Texas or Oklahoma's pass rush. He did it for Quinn last year too. But if Oklahoma is able to keep that game close or find a lead in that game, and the Oklahoma pass rush is able to just start teeing off, that'll be not great for Arch. But the kid is a talented quarterback. He's going to be really good. It's just a matter of, are the pieces around him enough so he's not having to carry the team? Because it's really hard to ask any quarterback in any sport or any level of football to try and carry a team. It's a team game. Arch can't do it alone. And as much as everybody wants to throw these high expectations on Arch Manning, he's still going to be a first-year starter. And so creating these lofty expectations for him when Texas is retooling so much of its roster, it's rough, man. It's kind of rough. So listen, I think Oklahoma's going to have a chance in that game. Obviously, it's a rivalry game. Throw out the records, throw out the SP plus, throw out the returning production, throw all that out the window, and let's flip a coin and see what happens. But I think
good old-fashioned hate
one in that one. Yeah,
it's good old-fashioned hate. This is what we're going to get out of this game, and that's what makes it fun. Like you said, it doesn't matter about the records. We watch Oklahoma run around with 11-win seasons and 1 loss being to freaking Texas. Yeah. We've seen them rattle off 10-win seasons, and one of those going to Texas when Texas is like 5-7, 4, and 8, and all of that crap. And it's all because it's all about who's ready to step up in that game. And I could totally see in this era between Brent Venables and Steve Sarkisian that it goes back and forth. The team in the white continues to win over the next couple of years, and it's just going to probably be that way as a rivalry. Hopefully Oklahoma can rattle off 2 wins in a row. We need to get a blowout win just so that we can shut up all the naysayers. But that's neither here nor there. The most important thing is getting the dub. You get the dub, it shuts everybody up for, about a week.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you pull off wins against Texas and Tennessee, I think you're in a great shot. Like, you're in a great place to make the playoff.
100%.
Those are arguably the 2 toughest games on your schedule. Maybe South Carolina and Alabama. Might be
South Carolina's right there.
Well.
South Carolina's definitely
because those are on the road. Like,
yep.
South Carolina's going to be good. Alabama's going to be good, but I don't know if they're going to be better than what they were last year. But you're playing those games on the road, which always makes it tough. But if you can pull off wins in games against Texas and Tennessee, you're going to be right there in the mix to make the college football playoff in 2025. And Brent Venables will have coached himself off the hot seat. ESPN believes Oklahoma is one of the more intriguing teams for 2025. Let's discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. Today's episode is brought to you by Fabric. Life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take their first steps, and before you know it, they're off to college. I'm feeling that right now. My daughter just turned 9. Like, it was yesterday that she was born. Their future is so important. That's why it's so important to securing it. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance that fits your family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life online right from your couch. You could be covered in under 10 minutes. And in many cases, no health exam is required. As a parent, I want to make sure my family is financially protected no matter what happens. Fabric gives me that peace of mind. Fabric also offers free digital wills and access to investment accounts to help you plan for your children's future. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company. Not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions.
Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better way to get into action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick four more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs. Prize Picks keeps every game being excited. So when you're building your roster, I'm looking at players, there's a lot of options out there, which is great. My favorite thing is that Prize Picks they've got exclusive promos like Taco Tuesday. They got like their Friday free pick. They offers discounts on player projections, which makes it even easier for an opportunity because you get much better value. And then on top of that, it takes you no more than 60 seconds to create a roster, and boom, you are on the go. So download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, rule your game.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, the Oklahoma Sooners are coming off of a 6-7 season. There's a lot of doubters, a lot of haters out there, even in the fan base, a lot of people that just aren't sure what to expect out of this Oklahoma team in 2025. I know y'all are tired of me pumping the sunshine. I get it. You're tired of me filling your glasses with Kool-Aid. You're just chucking them out the window. But I'm not the only one saying it. A lot of national analysts and observers are also talking about Oklahoma as one of the more interesting and intriguing teams in 2025. And this time, Bill Connolly of ESPN included Oklahoma among his top 10 teams that are very interesting. And he says, why are the Sooners interesting? And it comes back to the offense. Can an offensive transplant fix everything is the question he's asking, Jay.
Yeah, and it's a good point because there's even an article he linked in here. He says, history suggests that an offensive coordinator change at a school with loads of recent offensive success can create an immediate course correction. And they have all kinds of charts and stuff that shows kind of the data that lines that up and points it out. And I know that Sooner fans are like, man, y'all guys are really pumping in that sunshine again this year like you were last year. But not as much, right? Last year we had our questions. Our most, biggest questions were around, of course, offensive line and quarterback because you lost so many veterans there on the O-line, and you're starting to play a lot more young guys, and then your quarterback was really young. The biggest things was your skills guys were going to have to pick up a lot of the weight in order to help your young quarterback thrive, and he didn't have that. And because he didn't have that, it's honestly what led to not only him but even Michael Hawkins being able to having to struggle so much. You got to have some components to be able to help balance things out. Well, you're walking in with a guy that's been in the system for 3 years. Got to keep reminding y'all that. He's been in the system for 3 years underneath Ben Arbuckle, who's been the OC for the last 2. He's got a coach that you got the offensive coordinator coming in that has a system that's been proven to put up some numbers, and you got a quarterback that shows he has the moxie to make it happen regardless, because he does have a chip on his shoulder. I saw some people that were upset about your points yesterday, John. I was kind of cracking up, and it's like, no, you're not saying that, his goal was to get to the SEC to prove a point. He felt snubbed by the SEC even in high school. He's out of Texas. Mm-hmm. That's a common place for SEC schools to pull up on quarterbacks. He was overlooked there. Honestly, for the most part, he was overlooked when he went in the portal. Besides the fact that it was either, most schools probably said, he's going to Oklahoma if he doesn't go to Miami, which granted I get, because Miami had some success with the Washington State quarterback. They wanted a second one. So they threw it out there, and NC's trying to start from scratch. So be nice to have that, but Mateer chose arguably the smartest decision, because why not go play for the dude that you played for the year before, and you understudied under a quarterback who threw for him the year before that. So it makes sense why everybody's starting to lean heavy into Oklahoma, because there is very little chance, knock on wood, but very little chance Oklahoma repeats the bad and horrendous offensive performance they did last year, even if Mateer goes down, because I think Michael Hawkins will be ready to play this year way more than last year.
Yeah, he'll be more prepared. He's going to be in a system that's going to take advantage of what he does well, which is, he gets the ball out quick. Like, you scheme some things open for him, and he's going to be able to create a lot of havoc in the passing game. And he's just a dynamic runner. But the offense is just so much more tailor suited for what Oklahoma has available to them and what they can do well. They've got a lot of wide receivers. Now, listen, I get last year they had a great wide receiver group as well. Oklahoma's not going to deal with the same amount of injuries that they had last year. There's no way. There's just no way that they can have that kind of bad luck. And Brent Venables talked about it with Josh Payton in that hour-long interview about how they made some changes to the way that they were, training and practicing and all that, and trying to protect players a little bit better for the season. So, and in addition to the skill players, the offensive line, you had a complete offensive line overhaul, and all the guys that you were projecting to start, save for 2, went down with injuries.
Yeah.
So not only were you having to deal with turning over your entire offensive line, you had injuries that were hitting your starting offensive line, your backup offensive line, and you were getting down to your third string. And obviously that's going to have an impact. So this is a very intriguing team, because I just have very little doubt that they're going to be as inefficient and as bad as they were offensively last year. I don't think that they're going to run into the same turnover issues that they ran into last year. Are they going to turn the ball over? Every team turns the ball over from time to time, but it's not going to be as backbreaking as what we saw last year. It's not going to be a situation where, hey, your tie ball game, less than a minute to play, fumbling the ball, Missouri picks it up, runs it in for a touchdown. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see you just got the ball at the 5-yard line against Tennessee, 1st and goal at the 5. Next play later, you're fumbling the ball. You're not going to see that either. You're going to be in a much better, more consistent situation, because you're going to have a veteran quarterback. You're going to have an improved offensive line, and you're going to have a healthy set of skill players. Even if one goes down, you're not going to be down 6, 7 wide receivers like you were throughout the 2024 season. It's just not going to happen. And I get it. I'm not trying to be boastful. I'm not trying to jinx it. I'm just saying, the likelihood that happens again is so minuscule, because what happened last year was just a freak year. And going back to Ben Arbuckle, this system will create offense. It's done it at multiple levels in multiple conferences across college football with a with several different coordinators running it and several different quarterbacks running those offenses.
Yeah.
So the fact is, Oklahoma's offense is going to be significantly better. And if you want to hear me gush more about John Mateer, make sure you go listen to Thursday's episode because I spent 30 minutes doing that. But you've got a lot to like about what Oklahoma's going to put on the field on offense. And I just spent 5 minutes ranting. My apologies. Jay, take it away.
No. You're 100% right. And that's where my thought process is too. There's way too many positives coming into this year, and a lot of that bad luck last year is going to be really hard to replicate. And the crazy part is even as bad as the luck we had, still won 6 games. Like, that's the crazy part. I think the defense really won us 6 games last year. Besides Michael Hawkins' heroics.
Yep. I just responded to a guy on YouTube at 5 till midnight said, we won 6 last year with no receivers, no quarterback, and half a running back. I think we got this.
He's right.
Mateer likes to create. That's what Bake did. Not the best arm, but dang accurate.
Yeah. And he works his tail off. So I think we're good. We're good.
Yeah, totally agree. The Oklahoma Sooners have an intriguing recruiting thing happening with Jaden O'Neal. Also some big-time recruiting happenings across Sooner Nation. Let's discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
Yep, daylight savings time snuck up on us again. If you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, except for the rain right now, but sometimes you need a little boost to power you through. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, which that continues this weekend, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whether you need it, because you definitely do. With extra daylight savings, extra daylight as well as extra activities, and the days being so much longer, I love snatching up my 5 Hour Energy to be able to go outside, maybe go take a hike, go for a long walk, or, maybe get a jog in. This berry always gives me a nice, quick boost. So head over to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. That one I want to try. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab your 5 Hours Energy shot at your local grocery store or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today. Stay energized.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure you hit that subscribe button over on YouTube to get daily Oklahoma Sooners content. Jaden O'Neal is off on the recruiting trail visiting Florida State and Auburn this week.
Yeah, it's we're not used to this. Oklahoma quarterback going out there doing a whole bunch of visits or commit. When Jaden O'Neal initially committed, the thought process, and it sounds like the message was he was going to be the only one. Well, Oklahoma now realizes we need a second one, especially bringing in a new offensive coordinator, and Jaden did commit under Seth Luttrell, so he's going out there to just see, make sure his options are open. He wants to make sure that he doesn't get, put on the back burner, or if he kind of get left out. So there's a lot of schools that have interest in him, so he's Florida State. He's going to visit Auburn, so he gets to go hang out with former Sooner commit Kevin Sperry. It feels like Kevin Sperry just can't get away from him, can he? It's like it's no matter what Kevin does, Jaden's always looming over. The shadow is always over him. But then he's going to go to Auburn. So, he'll see Jackson Arnold and be able to check them out. But as of now, I still feel like Jaden is still going to end up being a Sooner. The big thing that he's even mentioned in interviews is, just make sure the relationship remains strong and everything. And Ben Arbuckle's still cutting his teeth here in Oklahoma. But I don't think that he has any fear whatsoever when it comes to Bo Bentley. I think the big thing is does Oklahoma want to really take two quarterbacks, or are they wanting to pivot to someone else?
Yeah, that seems to be the question. And, Jaden's got interest across the country, Georgia, Colorado. I mean, big time programs that are looking at adding him. And so it's understandable why he might want to explore those. But it does show a little bit different kind of pursuit or recruitment revolving the Oklahoma Sooners. I mean, Brent Venables, he's been adamant about this no visit policy in years past, but perhaps it's evolving a little bit more where we're seeing guys that are committed actually go take visits elsewhere, and it's not leading to an imminent decommitment. You know what I mean? I feel like in years past, if somebody went and did a visit, even with the coach's understanding, typically within a week or two, it was like, okay, we're decommitting kind of a thing. But it seems like this is just going to be one of those ongoing processes where he might take several more visits across the rest of the recruiting cycle before we figure out exactly what's going to happen. The Bo Bentley piece is interesting. Every offensive coordinator is going to have their own vision for what they want at quarterback, and Jaden may fit that still. At the same time, Ben Arbuckle is going to have an idea of what he wants at quarterback as well. That's why he brought in Jet New. That's why he brought in John Mateer. That's why he brought in Cole Gonzalez. Like, he retooled kind of with his vision in mind at quarterback. And that's not to say that Jaden doesn't fit it. It just also means that Bo Bentley's probably a guy that Ben Arbuckle's had his eye on for quite some time. And now that he is at a big time program like Oklahoma, has an opportunity to kind of call his shot at quarterback, as opposed to when you're at Western Kentucky and Washington State. You don't get to do that. When you're at a blue blood program, you get to go be a little bit more picky. You can go pick the guy that you want. And so he's getting that opportunity kind of for the first time. So very intriguing there. Some other recruiting nuggets that are happening right now. One, Deuce Gerald's going to be visiting the Oklahoma Sooners, the defensive lineman in the 2026 class. Tell us a little bit more about that, Jay.
Yeah, Oklahoma has been in a really good spot of her with Deuce Gerald's, the big defensive lineman that I would really like Oklahoma to get their hands on. And he's spent a lot of time in Oklahoma. He's actually now in town this weekend for practice, and you're going to start seeing that a lot. A lot of these kids are taking these additional, unofficial visits, gonna come out, hang out, watch practice or whatnot. You saw some other young players came through. I think it's Cameron Phillips. He was here over the last couple of days watching practice. So Oklahoma is starting to take advantage of, getting some of these kids to come out if they're truly interested. And it sounds like OU has a good shot. He is a top 5 D lineman in the country, number 1 on ESPN as well as Rivals right now. So he is, as of right now with Rivals, he would be considered a 5-star since he's number 25 in the country at roughly 6'1", 275. I think he's a lot bigger than that, but these are the initial measurements that a lot of these schools have. But hey, Todd Bates has been working, and he's out of Georgia. So that means that Bates is really trying to go back to his roots from his Clemson days to start to bring those players in. And I had made mention of this a while ago that a lot of fans have been curious about why Oklahoma hasn't been recruiting at the level that Clemson did when BV was there, especially on defense. And I had to remind some folks that it took about 3 years for Clemson to start really pulling the big name players, especially out of Georgia and out of even, the Carolinas, out of Florida, even out of Texas. It took them about 3 years to really start to build that pipeline because they kind of had to prove themselves on the field. Well, our Mason Thomas and the way that defensive line played last year and that run defense kind of proved a lot of folks that, you still got it, huh? I mean, I know your coaches are young, but you still got it. So now you're starting to see that interest from some of the bigger spots. Like I said, in Georgia with a player like a Deuce Gerald. You get him on campus a lot. I mean, I think he's visited a lot. Every time I look up, he's in town and he's come to hang out. So if you get him to go ahead and commit, you've got a few other players that are really, really interested. I think Oklahoma has a really good chance of having a big time, a big defensive haul this year, especially because now Deuce Gerald has Oklahoma in his top 10. And then right after that announcement, he's coming back to town.
Yeah, Brandon Drum of OU Insider and Rivals has kind of been on top of this for a long time, but seems like Oklahoma is really, really well positioned to land Deuce Gerald. So things really trending in a positive direction there. Another place that they're trending in a positive direction, that's Alger Miles. We discussed him earlier this week, but Mike Roach of 247 Sports issued a crystal ball, I think on Thursday, favoring the Oklahoma Sooners in Miles' recruitment. All signs seem to be pointing toward Oklahoma at this point.
Yeah, and even, with Alger Miles, if you get Mike Roach, who used to do Texas writing, now he's doing more national stuff, you probably are doing something if he's throwing it in Oklahoma's direction. He doesn't do that very often. Not to say that he does it as a quote-unquote hater or anything, not saying that at all whatsoever. He does his research, and he actually does a really good job of keeping up with trends and what makes sense, and he actually talks to people. People talk to him a lot. And so if you're starting to see, those type of trends, probably most people will talk to him about Texas, but if you see that Oklahoma is one that, it's on that list of schools, yeah, definitely feels like that one's strong, but that's like the fourth or fifth one now. So I'm expecting Miles to give us a commitment probably within the next month, or he'll probably drop it around one of the official visit weekends, but I'm expecting Miles to be in the class.
This kid's game is really good. He's got good size, good strength. He's a great player after the catch. He can do everything you want a wide receiver to be able to do. 4-star currently for On3 and for Rivals, I believe. So big-time playmaker coming out of Kaufman, Texas, trending towards the Oklahoma Sooners. We'll continue to follow his recruitment, that of Jaden O'Neill's and Deuce Gerald's here on Locked On Sooners. So make sure you're tuned in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube as well. You can follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. You can follow the show at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer.
Sooner.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Have a great one, guys. And stay warm.
Yeah, and dry.
And dry.